Okay, after covering vision, we're moving on to hearing. How are we able to hear? That is through audition. Hearing, the sense of sound perception. This involves sound waves, a pattern of changes in air pressure during a period of time. It produces the perception of a sound. A sound's wave amplitude determines loudness. Its frequency determines its pitch, also known as hertz. People can detect sound waves with frequencies from about 20 hertz up to 20,000 hertz. That is your basic range of bass to treble. Sound waves. The upper example here shows amplitude and the bottom one shows frequency of the sound, and they are processed into perceptual experiences of loudness and pitch. Farther away the wavelengths are, that would be bass. The closer they are means treble. This higher amplitude means it's louder than this area. Audition results from changes in air pressure. Sound waves arrive at a person's outer ear and travels down the auditory canal to the eardrum. The eardrum is a thin membrane that marks the beginning of the middle ear, and sound waves causes it to vibrate. All right, in the hearing pathway, sound waves enter the outer ear, head down towards the eardrum in the middle ear where the hammer, anvil, and stirrup vibrate. Then there's the oval window that involves the cochlea in the inner ear, then the basilar membrane, to the hair cells, which are the primary receptors, and the hair cells lead to the auditory nerve, then to the thalamus, and on to the auditory cortex. There's a graphic from the book that explains all of that, starting with the sound physically entering the ear. Sound localization. The brain integrates the different sensory information coming from each ear. Auditory localization. Like barn owls, humans draw on the intensity and timing of sounds to locate where the sounds are coming from. And moving on to the vestibular system. A vestibular sense is the perception of balance determined by receptors in the inner ear. The vestibular sense uses information from receptors in the semicircular canals of the inner ear. These canals contain a liquid that moves when the head moves, bending hair cells at the ends of the canal. The bending generates nerve impulses that inform us of the head's rotation. All right, now we're going to talk about cochlear implants. Cochlear implantation has helped people with severe hearing problems due to the loss of hair cells in the inner ear. Over 300,000 of these devices have been implanted worldwide since 1984, and it works by directly stimulating the auditory nerve. It does not amplify sound. When devices are implanted in children who were born deaf, the child's hearing will be quite functional, and he or she will learn to speak reasonably normally. Here is a picture of a cochlear implant. It consists of a microphone around the ear and a transmitter fitted to the scalp, linked to the electrodes that directly stimulate the auditory nerve. When implanted at a young age, these devices can enable people with hearing loss to learn and hear and speak. Pitch is encoded by frequency and location. Temporal coding, a mechanism for encoding low-frequency auditory stimuli in which the firing rates of cochlear hair cells match the frequency of the sound wave. And place coding, a mechanism for encoding high-frequency auditory stimuli in which the frequency of the sound wave is encoded by the location of the hair cells along the basilar membrane. The psychologists discovered that different frequencies activate receptors at different locations on the basilar membrane. The receptors are similar but located in different places. Here's a graphic from a book that explains how this works. The image here is of a cochlear, and it's fully unraveled, which means it's receiving sound to the low frequency. Are your listening habits damaging your hearing? Blasting music through headphones and earbuds is a known cause of hearing loss. According to the National Institutes of Health, in 2017, noise-induced hearing loss is caused by exposure to sounds that are too loud or loud sounds that last for a long time. I think the book put this in here because newer generation of kids are all walking around with their phones and the earpods and all that business and have things turned up too loud, and it is affecting hearing. So if you're doing this, maybe turn it down just a little bit, or listen to actual speakers across from you in a room.